Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I must say, it has been a journey. We were supposed to start earlier, and here we are starting at 7-Eleven. And 7-Eleven is actually a lucky manifestation number. All you guys who don't know, now you know, and no one's half the battle. All right, hold on. We got a little bit of technical difficulty things here to handle that I'm trying to manage. And we're also waiting for the brother Pernue to come through. And what we're going to do in the meantime is I'm going to play the commercials. So let's start off with that. Shout out to the brother Shaka, guys. Make sure you purchase one of those t-shirts to support Black businesses. Yes, that's the brother Shaka. Support him, guys. Be sure to purchase a t-shirt. And of course, we're going to do, let's see, I got my little tea advertisement. So let's do this one here.
Such a long, long time.
Nice. Y'all, I tell y'all, when it rains, it pours. All right. Let's see if we can get this popping. Hopefully the brother Pernue will come on in a couple of minutes. I don't know. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. We do have Catherine here. And let me make sure I can run these banner pages. I got to get Pernue's information too if he comes on, and run the banner page at the bottom for him, so you guys don't know how to reach out to him if you want any tantra work. As many of you guys know, Pernue and I both are workers in the business of tantra healing and the tantra community. And so if you want to utilize any of his services or even mine, then you can definitely reach out for us. And as you know, Catherine does energy work and also Qigong, right? How many different Qigong do you do?
About 11 or 12.
You know, I didn't even know it was 11 or 12 different styles of Qigong.
Yeah, there are thousands, actually. It's very prolific.
Wait a minute. How could it be that many? Isn't there like a original one or something? I'm confused. Like, how could that be?
Well, because Qigong comes through ancient practices. It started with shamanic practices in very ancient times. But you find them according to the different philosophies. There are Taoist Qigong, there's medical Qigong that's based on Chinese medicine, there's Buddhist Qigong, Confucius Qigong, and it comes through family lineages and through different temples. So there are many. Shaolin Qigong. So it has the same foundation, but each one focuses on a different area. So Taoist Qigong tends to be about living longer. Buddhist Qigong is more about your spiritual connection, and medical Qigong is about healing the body. But there are a lot of different practices.
Wow, I did not know it was thousands of different Qigongs. I thought Qigong was like maybe 3 or 4. You know, like when you think of like karate, or you know, you have kung fu, you have Tai Chi, you have what is it called? I forgot the other form, but I was thinking of it like that. It never even dawned on me that there's thousands of different types of qigong, and qigong is mostly to focus on the breath work. So I guess
It's
the
it's
changes when,
it's body, it's movement, it's postures, it's breathing, and a combination of those things. So you could think of it as maybe uh, part yogic in the sense that it deals with energy centers, it deals with the meridians and moving energy through your body, but it also deals with the directions, it deals with the earth and the cosmos. So it has a lot of different facets to it.
the herbs. You know what's so funny? Shout out to Dr. Love, by the way. I just did a fast with him a couple of weeks ago. I think we finished, and boy, that fast was something else. He tied in herbs, and he actually said the herbs were herbs that they use in qigong. And so we were doing the qigong breathing exercises. We were taking the herbs. We went into like a slow fast. So it wasn't like, one day we're fasting and then the next day we're eating food. So he gradually had us diminish our food until we went into the liquid fast. And then after that, we went gradually back into eating our food. So it was a good experience. It was something
Mm-hmm.
because, when you're doing the Qigong and you're doing the fasting, all of these things are waking up inside of you. And it could be anything from like emotional trauma or, your thoughts, that may be negative thoughts that are kicking up within you that you need to clear out and clear away.
Mm-hmm.
Including the way you, if you're maintaining a certain diet, you kind of go through these withdrawal symptoms. Even if
Mm-hmm.
you're like drinking coffee or meat, you can actually go through withdrawal symptoms where you're angry or you're agitated. And I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
amazing.
it is pretty amazing. And medical qigong is very, very effective in healing. It's like traditional Chinese medicine. Only you're using movement, breath, awareness, connection. So it's very powerful and quite diverse. I've been
Mm,
to China 3 times to study qigong.
wow.
Hmm.
Wow. Because they speak English in China. They speak Mandarin and English. And are those the two? I know a lot of the
No.
people from
Mhm.
China I know speak English.
Those that we meet here probably do. Those people in China, not so much. There's a few people who do, but the teacher that I started with teaches in the U.S. and I studied at OCOM, the Oregon College of Oriental Medicine.
Hmm.
She's Chinese, but her first work was as a translator, so she speaks perfect English. And I
Mm.
went with her to China to study with different qigong masters there. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I want to, after having that experience with Dr. Love, I do want to learn more about Qigong and also, working in Tantra and working with Master Yao, he definitely recommends it and said that it's good for us to know how to utilize that, to better
Hmm.
ourselves and also to better as a practitioner, it's good to have that under your belt. So
Yeah,
how
and
long
it
did
can
it take
help.
you to
It
learn?
can help. It can help to open up the channels that you need to open in order to have that Kundalini experience. Well,
There you go.
I'm always learning, but I've been teaching qigong for about 30 years,
Mhm. So
and
initially,
so
so it's always lessons, learning and learning and learning. It's not like
well,
you just
it
take it
it
and you
it,
learn.
it deepens you. Like you can learn the fundamentals in a couple of months, probably. But
Mm,
as that happens, your capacity deepens, your perception, your awareness, your ability to move with energy, it deepens as you go along. So you
mm,
could learn Qigong fairly quickly.
mhm.
Some of it is more complex, some forms are more complex than others. But what I
Mm,
learned when I went to China is their national martial arts teams, they call them boxers, but they fight martial arts.
mhm. You know, I
That,
heard of the boxers. I think it was on a movie though. So I
mhm.
didn't even know they were real. So that's
Yeah,
interesting.
no, they're real. Like you go there, I went to the Shaolin Temple and they do tricks for you, but I really did see people on laying on bed of nails and doing all of the kind of things that they do in the movies. But in order to excel in that field, they first have to learn Qigong.
Mm,
That's the first step. And one of the issues that a lot of people have in the West when they learn the martial arts, they don't learn the Qigong. So they don't have the same power as somebody who comes through the natural system in China. So you have to
mm,
be able to heal yourself. You have to be able to really move energy. So when they're throwing punches or they're doing a move, it's not just the physical body, it's the force of energy that's moving. And
mm,
so like when they plug into the earth, you can't lift them up off the earth. They're totally connected. So they have more extensive powers to the qigong, the ones who come up in that culture.
mhm,
I don't pursue that because I don't do the martial arts, but it was good to
mm,
be able to learn some of the movements they use to empower themselves. So they're not out there lifting weights necessarily. They're tensing their muscles and they're doing a resistance. You're pushing and pulling at the same time, and the
mhm.
whole muscle gets strong. And they do it through flexibility and repetition. So there's a lot of strength building in the
Mm.
practices
Nice,
that
nice,
they
nice,
that
nice.
the martial artists learn before going into the learning the fighting skills. So I mean,
That's
I took the building and the healing part is what I resonated with.
that's interesting. I know someone was telling me that, you know, I know a lot of people who are studying various types of martial arts, anything from kung fu to taekwondo to, you know, and then their bodies were different as opposed to someone who practiced qigong. And I think that they kind of go hand in hand, but since we are here in this country, we don't learn all of the techniques, we don't know all of the formats and all of the things that keep us intact. And so I know a lot of people who worked in martial arts, but as they got older, they weren't able to function as well as
Yeah,
the people who
because
actually lived in Asia.
if you're not um, matching the qigong aspect to the fighting, you could potentially be depleting your energy with each punch. So as you're fighting, you're using up your life force energy, and at the end of it, you can become more feeble and sick. So
Mm,
martial artists really do need that qigong aspect to be able to know what their energy is, how to use it. It's like you can propel it, you can pull it back. So you need to really understand the fundamentals of moving energy before seriously getting into the martial arts. And, as the way the philosophy works, a real master of the martial arts never fights.
mm,
I mean, unless it's, in a championship game, but the objective is to not fight.
mm.
So
Interesting.
there's more to it than just, I can beat you up. It's like it's a mental game, it's an emotional game, it's physical. So you have to it evolves you to a much higher state of being. And in
Mm,
the Taoist practices, they're about immortality. So they're lifting themselves to a level of immortality. And it's why a lot of people live very long lives or have been known to. But really, what that's about is becoming immortal through your consciousness. So when you get to a certain level of immortality, you you no longer are engaged in that being reborn and being reborn. You may be reborn, but you'll be reborn with the knowledge of your previous life. You don't lose
Mm.
anything. So that even though you may change, your essence becomes immortal.
Mm. You know, it's funny because my brother owns and manages a karate school, and you're right, like it can be this mentality of, oh, I could beat you up, I could physically harm you, but it's you're supposed to be able to go to a higher level when you're practicing all of these martial arts. And actually it's supposed to be not just physical, it's also supposed to be spiritual, you know, and teach you on like growth and how to have a little bit more discipline and control of yourself. Because when you get to a certain level, my brother was telling me where he lives at, that they are very dangerous. And some of these guys have to register.
Mm.
They have to register because they can snap you like that. And so,
And not only that, in a lot of the martial arts, they know what points to press that can
yeah,
stop you. They don't even
yeah.
have to do very much. I mean, I would prefer to know what point to press to wake somebody up. So that's
Hmm.
where my study is. It's more about first aid and, if a person faints or if they have trouble, what points could bring somebody back to consciousness and what points can help to restart the body going again. But really,
Hmm.
it's about an individual being able to maintain their own vitality and life force energy.
Exactly. Life force, energy, and vitality. I really think that a lot more of our community should learn martial arts and Qigong. And the other thing that they mentioned was a lot of the brothers and sisters who were practicing martial arts here in America wasn't doing enough massages.
Mm.
And I thought that was very interesting. So they were saying that in other countries, when they're learning martial arts, it's like all of these things that they have to do spiritually, physically, diet wise, like meditate. All of that is part of martial arts. But when I studied Taekwondo when I was in high school, it was just like, yeah, you come in, you learn the punch, you learn the horse stands, you learn the blocks and all of this, and you do get this mentality of, yeah, I could hurt you, I could beat you up. But it's they didn't teach us the higher level stuff, and I had to learn that when I would travel to visit my brother, and then that's when I
Hmm.
learned much more advanced levels. And I think that all of our children should be learning some form of martial arts to the highest level possible,
I
including
agree. And
vision.
it's you will find it in different cultures. I studied through the Chinese culture, but you have it like in South America with capoeira. You have it in a lot of the teachings of some of the traditional African cultures. So
Mhm.
it's not just a Chinese art form, but I think that the Chinese have preserved it the best
Thank
in
goodness.
terms of its depth and its connection and connection to the energetic properties of our body, because we're as though we look physical, we're really not entirely physical. Most of our body is space, is
Mhm.
energy, there's charge. So it's getting a better comprehension of really what we are, what our beingness is about. And a lot of it is even through tone. There's a lot of the healing or through healing tones. And if research um, scientifically, they'll tell you that every part of our body has a tone. We don't hear it in our own ears, but the liver has its own sound, the heart has its own sound. And when we learn to use the healing sounds, we can bring healing and toning to particular organs or to the whole system.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
so that's what I teach. I basically am teaching, I do ongoing courses on Qigong self care. What to do if you have high blood pressure, what you do if you have heart issues, what to do if your liver or kidneys are depleted. And there are specific routines or tones or breath patterns that can help your body to heal based on that understanding of how the system works. Just like acupuncture works, it works as effectively as that.
Mm, wow. Yeah. So we got in the future, we got a show on all of these things we're communicating about right now, a show on Taoism and the comparison of Taoism and Qigong and breath exercise and all those varieties. But I just wanted to dive in and give you guys a little bit of a background of exactly more detail in regards to what Catherine has to offer. And you guys know what my genre is, and that's Tantra and psychedelics. And I also do integration coaching. So of course, after you receive the services to some extent or you need some type of support, some type of guidance as these energies are activated within you regarding these works. So I found that in our community, a lot of people were receiving these services and then they were sent on their jolly way, and then they weren't healing, and I would see them deteriorate, and I was wondering, why aren't they getting better? They're receiving, oh, shout out to the brother Panu who just came in. They're receiving Tantra, they're receiving psychedelics, and yet they're not healing. And I know I want to see, my community heal, because I'm part of the healing community, right? So I shout out to Master Oyi Sun, by the way, who opened me up to the idea of integration at, Bliss. If we're doing these services to these people, to our community, we're doing them an injustice, because we can't just send them off into the wild. And they're just like, some of these psychedelics and sometimes Tantra will activate you, and you just wonder, what is going on? Why do I feel this way? How do I work through this? And it activates you, and you need guidance. It's sort of like counseling, you know what I'm saying? But it's a different level. I don't want you guys to think like it's like we're a psychologist and we're going to give you some pills or something like that. It's like a whole different spiritual journey when it comes to us assisting you on your journey as we provide services to you. And that's, of course, energy work, that's Qigong, that's Tantra, and that's psychedelics. We all need some level of guidance and assistance in our life, and someone to communicate so that we'll know, what's going on with us. Like, wearing that mask and, we acting up, and we, y'all know what I'm talking about. So, but no, we were waiting for you. We were trying to hold it down.
All right. Great. I'm glad I saw the text and everything. You're online and everything.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Sir. So as you guys
Catherine.
know,
Hi.
See you again.
Yeah. Tonight's topic is spiritual warfare.
All right.
And we are going to, hold on, I got to do one more little technical thing. And okay, there we go. Okay, all right. So tonight's topic is spiritual warfare. And maybe some of you guys know a little bit about spiritual warfare. Maybe you know a lot about spiritual warfare. I'm not sure what your knowledge and your background is. I hope tonight's show would add some enlightenment to whatever you know or don't know, to assist you on your journey here on this place we call Earth. So I want to start off with saying that this world is more spiritual than we realize, right? And this country is more spiritual than we would like to admit. And there's a lot of spiritual activation or activities all around us, and it's in so many different ways, depending on each person or what's going on in your life. So the question is, do we see it? Do we recognize it when all these different levels of spirituality is coming on us, or spiritual warfare or spiritual activation, or whatever it is? Are your ancestors involved, your spirit guides, your angels? Are you calling upon them, communicating with them? Do you have their support? Do you have their guidance? And if so, how are you utilizing that? Are there blockages? If there's blockages within you, and you can't properly receive these experiences or these messages or get the guidance you need, like, what do you need to do moving forward? So some of the things I wanted to express in regards to spiritual warfare. So I'll let you guys give your introduction as to what you think spiritual warfare is and what it entails. Can you hear
You
me?
you want us to speak?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're right. I think part of the problem is that we don't understand that we live a multi-dimensional life already in any way and always have. Just like we have the spirit of our own essence connected in ourselves, other people have that. But there are also levels of existence that are beyond the physical or are not physical in the same way that we are. And our realities are intermingled. So, some people believe in ghosts, some people don't. But there is a way in which, after we exit our bodies, we continue to exist in another form. And as humans and with a divine quality, we can, when we pass on, we can move to a realm that's more expansive. But what happens is that people take whatever their psychology is into that process, and they may pass away and not believe that there's anything beyond, and they kind of get lost in the space in between. Or they might have strong attachments to Earth, and they never really leave. So, for instance, a parent or a grandparent may stick around if they still have children or grandchildren on the Earth. But there are people who go into that transitional process and are not able to move on from grudges or feeling harmed or feeling like something went wrong in their life, and they can still um, have some activity from that afterlife experience of doing things or instigating things in the person's life that they want to impact. So that's one of the things that can happen. But mostly it's that people get lost in that realm beyond death. So if you look at the Tibetan teachings, when a person is has passed away, they chant for days and weeks, a certain amount of time, in order to help shepherd the person on to the next leg of their journey. But because we live in a world that doesn't believe in spiritual practices, people, I think, sometimes get lost. And then you have to look at people who were engaged in nefarious things. And we can see those energies keep coming back either through the reincarnation process or either as having an impact. So you may have ancestors that are going to have a positive impact on your life. But you may have ancestors that were like crazy and they're not going to have a positive influence on your life. Or you might think of people having a certain kind of energy. Like from my vantage point, when I look at the world today and I see the level of harm that's being created, the genocide, I think that this energy is passed through generations and passed into the spirit world and coming back and being reignited in our world. So I'm not saying that it's a dangerous thing necessarily. I just think that this is something that we should begin to consider so that as we age, I mean, I'm kind of old. I have to think about these things. How do you want to continue? Because it's like I think of death as a passage and continuation. And, based on my Taoist practices, the idea is to bring my best game to that process so that I can move on to another level. But we have to understand that there are people who are in the realm of spirit that are not souled beings the way we are souled beings. So we have souls connected to a creator. But there are a lot of created beings that don't have that kind of soul, and they're looking for an opportunity. Or you might say they're people who have abdicated their soul and don't want to go to whatever they believe judgment might be. So they're going to be looking for opportunities in the living world in which they can instigate a person's downfall, or in which they can, in some fashion, inhabit a person and be part of your experience. So people who might not engage in particular behavior can be exposed to energies from the spirit that will have them engaging in behaviors that are not theirs, that belong to some other entity. So I just think we live in a much greater reality. People find it frightening, I think, but it doesn't change the reality. So for me, it's better to understand that there a lot can be going on. And I find that the spirit realm is not as toxic or worrisome, because they're just spirits. You could tell them to go away. Is when living human beings engage the spirit in toxic behavior. And to me, that's the most dangerous way, where there'll be an alliance between a person who is working with the spirit world in order to achieve some kind of goal. They want fame, they want fortune. And that can be maneuvered from the spirit world. But then they either have to pay a price for that, or they have to sacrifice other people to that. And so what happens is people will bring a spiritual attack on you, and your energy will be drained into that entity that is engaging in those harsh spiritual practices. So I think that's the one that really can catch you off guard, because you don't always imagine that that's what could happen, that someone could do a spiritual attack. And then there are people who are, in a manner of speaking, vampires, energy vampires. And you've heard of healing when you talk about cutting the cords if you want to break a relationship.
Yeah.
But an energy vampire will send out their cord, latch it into your body, and steadily drain your life force. And their objective is for you not to know that that's happening. But there'll be interaction in the relationship that will let you know that it's toxic. And then it's sort of like we were talking about before, like the narcissistic relationship.
Mhm.
That person is draining you of your life force energy. And that's
Yes.
part of the practice of toxicity, of using spiritual energy as a form of control and manipulation. And that's the thing we deal with most. And we can't always presume that the person is intentional. A person may have already succumbed to a spiritual attack. Their energy has already been drained, and they become like a husk for the dark
Yeah.
energies. And through the person's relationships, it's like the octopus keeps reaching out
Yep.
and trying to get more people into the fold. But either way, we have to recognize it and act upon it so as not to be made ill.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Oh my God, that was a great explanation. You hit it right on point. I agree with you. Pranu, you want to say, from what your thoughts are in regards to this?
When I think of spiritual warfare, I think of war on the spirit. And so what does that really mean? What is the spirit? So we have this physical body, but it's animated by something. It's just not matter. There's something that's animating it, and I would call that the spirit. So when I think if someone is doing spiritual warfare, they're somehow trying to modify my spirit, change my program, program my spirit. Some, like you said, without me even knowing it. So just basic, so some certain simple type of things. You don't have to be a magician to practice spiritual warfare. It's being waged at all different levels. So just the very act of someone trying to demoralize someone, like you can't do that. Trying to lower that, someone's trying to lower somebody's spirit. That's spiritual warfare. So there's also, when I think of spiritual warfare, I think of the principle as above, so below. So like in this world, this physical world, we have parasites, viruses, and things like that feed on the body and try to modify the body. In the spiritual realm, you have parasites, viruses, and things like that. And I tend to believe that just like in the physical world, we have these viruses all around us, parasites. But if we're healthy, if we're physically healthy, we can live in a sort of symbiotic relationship with them without being overcome by it. If we're not living healthy, then those type of things can actually overcome us. So I feel the same way about the spiritual warfare. If I'm very healthy, if I'm healthy, I'm pretty much going to block out the majority of the type of spiritual warfare. I would say one main form of spiritual warfare is just that being programmed without you even knowing it. So that comes in the propaganda, in the music. There is a lot of spiritual warfare on the Black community in our music. Our music has turned in the last 40 years to something that raises our spirits in a positive way to something that is actually adding a negative type of energy into the community with the type of messages, subliminal messages that are going on in a lot of the music and unfortunately, a lot of the what is now called Black culture. There's definitely a spiritual war on Black people, a war on Black people's spirit, a war on Black people knowing who they are. All that is spiritual warfare.
I so agree. Bliss, are you muted?
Yes.
Yeah, I muted it. And actually,
Okay.
a notice came up. It was like, you're muted. Thank you. No, I was saying that I actually agree. I agree with both of you. And it's like there's levels to spiritual warfare,
Oh, yes.
and a lot of people believe, sort of in the beginning that it's not visual and you don't feel it, and therefore you don't believe it because we're sort of detached from our spirituality, so if you can't see it or touch it or feel it, then you may think it's non-existing. Nonetheless, it's still affecting you one way or another, and it's there and it will attack you, and it's a battle. It's sort of a battle against the wicked, like it's you can have a person who is a host will allow these demonic beings or these demonic entities sit within them and pretty much take control of their mind and their body and have them, doing all types of things, from something like gossip to slander to negative wishes against you to all the way to doing some type of spell work on you. But a lot of times these people may have something going on within them that they allowed to enter them. And then they get in this space, and we as a people may not always recognize it as spiritual warfare. And so you may see symptoms or experience symptoms, and you may not necessarily connect the dots to know the reason as to what's going on with that person or what's going on with you. And so it's kind of a battle against the principalities, against the power. And wicked people who host these bad entities or these negative deities, a lot of times, like Catherine said, they may or they may not know. It could be purposely done. Maybe they called upon it to come and occupy them, and now they totally lost control of it. Or maybe they called upon something and the wrong thing came through because they don't know what they're doing. And so a lot of times I find that it's always something towards someone who's trying to do good, someone who's genuinely really trying to do something good for the people, and operate with sort of integrity, and I'm here to help, and they really want to help the community heal. And you'll find these negative people, these that maybe have this negative mindset, and they affect you and they beat you down, or they'll get in a group sometimes and sort of like attack you. And it may be a leader in that group, or it may not. It could just be a group overall. And they want to kind of pursue you until you sort of hit rock bottom, or until you give up, until you no longer have any fight inside of you. And a lot of these people are low vibrational, low level beings. And if you're there amongst them and you're becoming high vibrational and you're learning and you're growing and you're starting to expand your thought process, a lot of them are still down here and they don't like that. Because remember, they may be exuding some type of dark force within them, and you're becoming light, and you're just shining bright and just brighter, and your light is something that actually could aggravate them, and you may not be aware of it. And so down inside, they want you to fail. They want to see you crawling on your belly, like a snake, and they really can be very, very toxic. And it's really important that we recognize it as a community. And if we see it happening, that we provide some type of assistance to the person that it could be happening to. And if the person who is doing this, which is on the other side, there obviously is some type of sickness going on, or some type of assistance that they too would need, if they're willing to even entertain the idea. Because a lot of times these people may not want your assistance. They may not want your guidance. They may be operating as a narcissist or this big ego. And so you have to be prepared for this type of people, because they'll be a fool, acting a fool. They'll have you acting a fool. They want to see you panic. They want to see you lack faith within yourself or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. They'd rather see you desperate. They want you to at times feel rejection. They may be angry. They want you to feel angry. They're weak. Deep down inside, they really are sort of like a weak, coward kind of person. They may want you to be like that. And so they kind of took on these demons. They've domesticated a lot of these demonic entities, and they think negative. They can be jealous. It could be gossip. They could even be fighting amongst one another. But it's important for us to know how to handle these situations, as opposed to thinking, oh, why me? Oh, I'm scared. I'm fearful. What am I going to do? It's anxiety. I don't know where to go. I don't know who to communicate. We have to open up this conversation within the community, because this does nothing but pull down people. And I think that's really where the crabs in the barrel kind of phrase comes from, because the first thing you have to say is, why are there so many crabs in the barrel? How did they get there? And then why is it always one or two or three people, a small amount of people trying to level up, and it's all these crabs in a barrel? Why are there so many? And why do we allow them to be there in that barrel, as opposed to addressing whatever negative or toxic situation, that could be going on? Because I think a lot of it has to do with us accepting it also, So, I don't know if you guys want to veggie back off of that.
Thinking about what you're saying, the crabs in the barrel, why are there so many? What is the programming of the crabs that keep them in the barrel? Because obviously you could put a program in the crab that would enable them to get out of the barrel. So it's a program. It's something in their spirit. And so you can look at it as, okay, there's the things that have been put in the spirit that will hamper a person or a society or a group of people from elevating. That's the spiritual warfare. So it's done on a societal level and it's done on an individual level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're so right. And we live in a culture that reinforces that phenomena. You were talking about the music, but really, I think that humanity, especially in Western cultures, has been hollowed out. Like they used to say, oh, it's a Judeo-Christian country, but now it's more of a I will say, agnostic, atheistic country. But also, as we go through our training in school, everything is about external performance, excuse me, and no one is really learning that they have actually an internal life, that they have something very deep inside of them.
Yeah.
And you go through life trying to compete externally without realizing you have this wonderful resource within. And I think that hollowing out of our culture leaves people vulnerable for the other programming to be plopped in, or the other energies to be put in, either through the music or through the predictive programming on the television, by the way the news presents itself. So we're hollow, and where all this information is put into us, and we become almost like robots because we don't have our soul engaged in our daily life. And I think part of the answer is to recognize that we do have this deep, powerful connection within us. One of the reasons they can scare us is because we don't believe that we have that. And they put shadows on the wall, or they scare us with propaganda or even real threats. But we need to know that we have that power so that we can not be taken advantage of in that way. Because nobody really can take advantage of you without your permission, even if you're tricked into it.
Yes, that's
so it's really important to be vigilant about your own internal soul, spirit strength, so that you're not an easy target. So if you're filled with your spiritual light and your awareness and your connection to your higher power, it'll become a more difficult job. But and that's why spiritual attacks, I think, go hand in hand with demoralization. Because if you're in the world engaging and you start feeling like you're not worth anything, you're going to be cut off from your own strength. And that's where you become vulnerable to that attack. To me, the answer is to really know your own power, internal power, and to follow your warning system. I've discovered in myself, and maybe everyone else is the same, I always get a hint something's not right here, and if I push it aside, that could be the giving of permission.
Yes. I agree with you 1000%. A lot of it does start when we're children, and in certain things we're not taught. And many, many years ago, we were raised, different in society. And I think this particular society it's sort of designed to keep us in spiritual warfare. Like anything from, for all we know, the doggone country itself is experiencing spiritual warfare, So we as a people are here in this country experiencing spiritual warfare, and the country itself is experiencing spiritual warfare. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but when you go back and you look at it, you look at the way these economies are crashing. America wouldn't be the first economy to crash. There's histories of this happening. And you look at these tsunamis and these floodings and the wars, you know, the World War One, World War Two, the civil wars within the country, you know, the Great Depression, the money, the dollar, the crashing of the finances within these countries, the famine, the drought. Like, this is like the country itself is kind of like going through this spiritual warfare, and it could be other countries involved. And if you're in those countries, then who knows what the battle is going on around you, or even the war within you, you know? So it's so many levels to this when you contemplate it and you think about it on this level. And at some point we have to teach our children and teach each other, how do you take your power back? You know, how do you declare war on the spiritual war? You know, how do you take control? How do you learn how to protect yourself and how to protect your energy, how to be ready for battle when these attacks are coming from, you know, different areas and from different areas of life? How do you learn how to maneuver through these things without breaking down emotionally and physically, mentally? Like, and we're breaking down. I see a lot of people like, I can't take it anymore, I'm done with this. And you hear, oh, they just went crazy and started shooting, or they just went crazy and killed the children, killed the husband. You don't know what that person was going through and how long they went through whatever it was that they were experiencing, or what it was, any type of mental torture, any type of financial torture, emotional torture. And so we just sit back and we go, oh, you heard about so and so and such and such and such, as opposed to providing some type of support, some level of communication and some level of emotional support for one another, because we're so quick to just start gossiping about each other, as opposed to, you know, you see this person and it's like you visualize like the rain is coming down on them, beating down on them, and they're drenched and they can't take it anymore. You're supposed to get an umbrella and cover that person. You're not supposed to just, oh, let me go take a video, let me go gossip about it. Like, we become this culture where I don't even know. We don't even like, it's like our heart chakras are not even really open anymore. And I don't know if it's getting any better. You know, I don't know.
So it sounds like a lack of connection.
A lack of connection. Exactly. Yeah. And how do we get there with that lack of connection? And even when you see couples that are supposed to be together, you're like, they're together and it's still a lack of connection.
Like you said, you know, if you can't connect to another person if you're not even connected to yourself. So that goes back into your power, knowing who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, you're not going to connect to yourself. You're not going to connect yourself if you don't know who you are. So knowing who you are, being connected to yourself. So now you're connected to, like, as you said, Catherine, you're connected to your own source of power. So now you don't have to drain off anybody else. And matter of fact, once you're connected to your own source of power, then you can be a healer out here. And and then you can connect to other people. So I really agree. Knowing your power, connecting to yourself, those are critical things. And I oftentimes, like you said, sometimes we get these ideas early on in childhood. So it's not to guard against this crazy stuff that's coming at us, but we have to really examine who we think we are, because some things are essentially us, but might not be us. But we allowed it to pose as who we are, and to examine those things and to realize, hey, I have the ability, the right to cast this out. Hey, this program no longer serves me. We can do those type of things. And so then there's spiritual practices that can help, you know, like the Qigong, psychedelics, meditation, Tantra. There's a lot of different ways to go at this reprogramming of the spirit.
Exactly. And even what you're talking about with the Tantra, to me is not very different than Qigong. You're talking about taking your life force energy, connecting it to, at least this is my understanding, your chakra system, so that once your energy rises, you are connecting to your cosmic self, to your, to that spiritual light. So most people don't have that integration of their energies. And for me, like with the psychedelics, it's like open yourself. It's like taking down the veil and allowing you to peer into other realities where you can see things. It may be symbolic, but it gives you insight into really what is the thing that's plaguing you. And like you said, when we're children, these seeds are implanted in us based on how we were treated and dishonored during that time. And that seed, as we grow up, grows into the possession, the thing that's possessing our, preventing us from having that full personality and that full expression. So sometimes we have to dig down in there and pull that weed out. And that's part of what the energy healing is to help to dig into those weeds and pull them out, and then allow for nourishing energy to take its place. But the first step is to recognize, I think, we have a problem, and nobody is free of it. To varying degrees, we all have some of these issues. And if we can begin to recognize that, then maybe we could take a step back from condemning each other. I have my issues, you have your issues.
Yes.
So let's not get into blaming and hating on each other, but say, okay, this may be someone that I can't deal with, but it doesn't mean I have to spend more energy trying to dump them on them some more. And let's focus on healing ourselves and healing those that are close to us, healing each other, and then we can collectively lift everybody to another level. But we have to heal ourselves.
And I think sometimes it's the people who you are most close to that can see those things the best, and or bring those things out of one another. And so it's these connections are some to grow. So like you said, Catherine, oh yeah, wow, let's hey, I need to work on myself. We could do that type of work with ourselves. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. First you got to recognize, and what I find is that people don't recognize their own bullshit. So the biggest thing with Black people is I've literally seen it, like they would do something so crazy, so toxic, so manipulative, and then they can't check themselves. They don't see themselves. And so if you can't check yourself, then you have to be around a community that's willing to pull your coattail and say, hey, bro, hey, sis, maybe it should be handled a different way. And so I don't see that happening. I see people doing all types of stuff, and they ain't checking themselves, so, and nobody else is checking them because we go, oh, it's not none of my business, or I'm watching this like this is a show, or, that's how you have a community full of chaos and mayhem and toxicity and fighting and no support amongst one another, and everybody's pulling the other person down. But if you envision a community like we had many, many, many years ago, and I don't even know, hundreds, maybe thousands, I'm talking maybe thousands of years ago, where we were more loving and nurturing and supportive, and as opposed to combative against each other, we were combative against the outside forces that was trying to come in and attack us as a group, attack us as a person, attack us as a family. And so now they got us combating against each other. And so you want to take your power back. You want to have confidence in yourself and in your people and your community, and you want to take your authority back, and you want to have victory over these instances and these situations that you see happening in our community. And I'll be the first to say, never be afraid to call on your ancestors, your guides, your spirit guides, your angels, because some of these attacks or some of these situations are beyond your scope of healing or dealing with, and you need an outside force to assist you. So I definitely say call upon your ancestors, your good ancestors now. But you know what? I ain't even gonna say that. Call upon your bad ancestors too. Call upon Archangel Michael, because
Yeah.
Archangel Michael got that sword for a reason. And if you need to sever heads, then goddamn it, go ahead and do it. And you
Yeah.
put that sword right on through that head, through that throat chakra, and pop it off. And don't be afraid to defend yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for the spiritual war that you need, because you may be beaten down so much that you actually feel physically weak. And I know it don't make sense to y'all that you figure, how am I physically weak when this is just a verbal or emotional attack? Yeah, it could physically damage you.
Yeah, because words are energetic as well. They carry energy, and a word can be used as a sword or it can be used to heal. So that's really important to understand that even our thoughts, if you're thinking bad thoughts about something, that energy is going to travel into that person's life. So maybe part of the solution is to look at our own selves and say, well, how many people am I sending attacks to? How many people am I cursing with my thoughts and with my words? So I think the big picture answer is that we have to cultivate integrity within ourselves so that we understand that our choices make a difference. And when you're holding a wound inside yourself, it's going to be magnetized to the opposite of that. So the person who enjoys, sticking it into that wound is going to be attracted to your wound. So we have to be mindful of what attraction is. Does this attraction mean that we love each other, or is this attraction unhealthy? And we're just drawn to each other because we're both wounded in particular ways. And so, because it's so insidious, we just have to have personal integrity. And because everybody's kind of gaming for something.
Mhm.
Everybody wants a little influence. Somebody else wants to make a little money. Somebody wants to get recognition. So everybody's seeking something. And that thing you're seeking is the portal through which you can be attacked. So you have to kind of be aware of how you're carrying the target on you based on where you're at. And then sometimes you just have to make a choice. Because sometimes the choice is you try to take the abuse because you think you're going to be able to get ahead. And we have to be much better at cutting off and stopping the abuse the first time it happens. Second time, third time, at some point you have to walk away from these situations
Setting
and take
boundaries.
that responsibility. I mean,
Mhm.
you might be beat up by the time you walk away, but still walk away.
You walk away with a black eye, busted lip, bloody
Yeah.
nose. Chakras all damaged and discolored.
And chances are that's how you will walk away.
Yes.
At least you put up a fight. You
Yeah.
yeah.
Emotionally distraught, need some time. I need to talk to
It's
somebody.
happened to me many a time. But you got to give yourself the time and space to heal that.
Yes.
And then arm yourself with a recognition. I'm going to see that from afar next time. I'm not going to walk into it innocent and blind.
Yeah, I like what you said about how when we're seeking something, when our spirit is craving something, that is a portal to being attacked. That's what con men do. They figure out what you want, what you need, and then they figure out a way to quote quote sell it to you or get you to jump for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that opening is often because we have a hole within ourselves of something that should be there, that and so we're always looking for it outside of ourselves, and then as you're looking for something that should be in yourself, you're looking outside for it instead of inside for it. That's like a bright light, like flashing light to predators or just to anyone, because it's just an opportunity. Some people, they unconsciously will take advantage of an opportunity. Most people will do that. So, but it's a flashing light. You know, when you're looking for something out that's supposed to be inside from the outside.
Yeah, and I think we have to understand that our objective is to be whole. That we're not needing, you can enjoy an experience, a job, a relationship that's healthy. It doesn't have to be filling some lack in yourself. If you have feeling something lacking in yourself, we need to heal that from within so that we can engage in the world with other people who are whole.
Wow, the engaging with other people who are whole. I mean, that right there is a statement within itself, because you want to put yourself in an environment or you want to place yourself in a community where there's a group of people who are sort of in alignment with what your desires are or what your goals are. People who, okay, I want to, find out how to be more honest, in situations, and be honest with myself, because you're lying to other people, but damn it, if you lying to yourself, that's just as bad as you lying to someone else. Find people who have the same morals and values in alignment with yours, people who are operating with integrity. They have similar goals or desires that you, people who will fight for you too, who will, sort of like protect you or pull your coattail. And these people are around you, you'll find that you'll start functioning better in life, because you now have a certain level of support, a certain level of guidance, as opposed to if you're around people who are egging you on, trying to laugh behind your back or gossip behind your back, or people who may be trying to add fuel to the fire when there's a negative situation. And then all of this is part of spiritual warfare, because this is all sort of the battle against integrity, the battle against, people who are trying to operate on the level of honesty, people who want to align with certain types of people in society who are operating with the same morals and the same values. Like, are you going to sit there and allow bullying? Are you going to sit there and entertain your child being bullied? Are you going to entertain the idea of your community being controlled to the point where they have no control of what's going at school, what's going on with their food, what's going on with their water, the clothes that they wear? They can't even get access to the proper type of material that's better for their body. I mean, when you start to look at all these things, all the rules and the regulations and the laws that are passed, the things that's going on, this all affects you. But because we're so separate and we're so divided, we don't look at it as affecting us as a whole. But if we were together, more or less, communicating about these things in unison with the same thought process and the same mindset, we would be able to address a lot of these issues that's causing the community to be so toxic, so mentally sick. And this is part of this is, in my opinion, part of a mental illness. The spiritual warfare is also a mental illness that's taking on our community. And I know maybe people don't see it like that, but you got to have some type of, malfunctioning within the brain or your thought process to sort of see someone in a terrible situation as opposed to offering any type of guidance or assistance. You pick, child, let me tell you, such and such and such happened. You rather gossip about it or speak about it. That, to me, I don't see that going on in other communities. And I purposely go around other communities because I'm in observation mode and I'm comparing and I'm like, oh, okay. Look at how they're addressing these situations. Look at how they choose to operate. Any type of other cultures. I purposely go around them because I'm curious as to how is it appears to be that they can be so much more successful. What is it that we are not addressing in our community? or because everyone wants to blame this person or this government or this society, or, you know, look at what's, but no one wants to look at what they're doing and how they're not building up their own community from the baby on up. Like if you see someone abusing a baby or in any way, you know, verbal abuse to the child is affecting the child also. You don't have to just be beating the child, all types of abuse, and you don't say anything. And that child is going to grow up to have what type of personality? You know, and no one's communicating about how things can be done better, because maybe that parent is stressed out and they don't know how to just deal with it. So they take it out on the child. And what's going to happen to a child who every time the parent come home, they're drunk, they're telling the child they're stupid, they're dumb, or they're beating on the child? What do you think that child's going to grow up to be like? In our society today, I see a lot of that, you know, and I see a lot of people, they don't interject. And the parent is stressed out. The parent is not getting a break, right? And you have this little being here, you know, that can't defend themselves. So who's going to defend them? Who's going to protect them? You know, and then they go off to school and they may perform that same act on another child who can't defend themselves and protect themselves. And so now you have all these bullies.
Chain reactions. Yes.
There you go.
That's the spiritual warfare you're talking about. That the spiritual warfare is our mental. It is what creates a mental condition. Dr. Amos Wilson talks a lot heavily about the mental side that Black people that we're going through, and that is spiritual warfare. It's a warfare. All the signs in the South and Jim Crow was spiritual warfare. You know, colors here, you know, the separate drinking fountains, the whole, you can't walk on the sidewalk. All those things are just wars upon your spirit, saying you are nothing. And as a child, you get that and you start to believe that. And so we definitely have to pull those things out. And as you said, Miss Bliss, we really have to learn to work together as a people. We have to be able to see ourselves and be able to realize that we're mirrors for each other. So now each of us enables us to see our own stuff. And so we have to be able to humble enough to say, oh, wow, I see myself in this person, and not just blame the other person. So these are opportunities for us to be able to, if we can hold ourselves accountable, we will be able to heal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, holding ourselves accountable, I think, is the key phrase right there. Yeah, learning to hold ourselves accountable. And so I want to say something. It's so funny because when we talk about like unity, do you guys know that NATO recently made an announcement, and they are doing like a war exercise, and it started a couple of weeks ago, and it's about 90,000 troops in 31 countries, and so they'll do like a simulation act of war. And so it started a couple of weeks ago, and it's supposed to go all the way through to May of this year. And I said, well, what in the world is going on? And why would they be doing this? But what really caught my eye was a statement. I'm going to show you the statement. The statement, it's called Steadfast, by the way. So the statement says, Steadfast Defender 2024 will be a clear demonstration of our unity. You see that? Our unity, a clear demonstration of our unity, strength, and determination to protect. You see that? To protect each other, our values and rules-based international order. And I saw that. I said, wait a minute. Why don't we talk like this? Like, it sounds like they're all in alignment, all in unison. And I mean, they get ready to probably do something they ain't got no business doing. But I recognize that they're talking in unison, in unity, protecting their values. And so you look at that and you say, what type of values do you think the Black people have? What type of morals do you think we have?
Yeah, and I was reading that the part they were talking about was unity, to show unity. So they want to make sure that others see that they are unified. Like, hey, we are unified. Don't fuck with us.
Boom!
As Black people, we show our disunity for all to see. So it's a difference when you're being this. We don't have a certain level of unity, and you're arguing in private, and you're keeping it in house. Because I'm sure NATO has a lot of disunity as well, but they're
Right.
putting up a show. We don't put up, we do not know how to do that. So it's for everyone to see. And so now we're ripe for, once you're seen as weak, once you are seen as a people who cannot protect themselves, that are not protected, now here comes the prey.
Mm-hmm. Here comes the prey. Exactly. And those preys will prey on you in every different way, in every different form. Prey on your community, prey on your children, prey on you emotionally, prey on you mentally. It's like little vampires preying on you everywhere, every which way. And where you going to run? Where you going to hide? And just to beat you down, spiritually, to beat you down emotionally, mentally, psychologically, like however they can attack you until you're experiencing all of this anxiety and this fear or this depression and this sadness or this unhappiness. And at times you're like, where is these crazy emotions coming from? These negative emotions that are somehow filing and filling up in your mind, and just beating you down until, you feel like, well, what am I going to do? You see these people starting to explode. And you ever walk somewhere and you just find somebody so angry, like you go into a store or a business or something, and the person's damn near hostile. They're not even sort of, being kind to you. And this is a business. And you have to say, what's going on with that person that they would affect their business this way? Who knows what type of battle is going on internally or even externally. And so I see our society moving forward with a lot of different spiritual battles, spiritual wars. And I see it kind of cooking and brewing. And it's like a little bit over here, a little bit over here, and some in this area. And I'm just like, some people are just ready to just pop. And I think a lot of people don't see it. I don't think a lot of people are prepared for it. And I mean, I want to just sound the bell. I just want to ring the bell. And you can do things if you can't get to anyone who's sort of level-headed to help you get through this, then you could pray. You can do breathing exercises. You can do meditation. You can do yoga. You can even change your diet, because certain foods add to the toxicity and to the fear and to the anger within you. So if you cannot get to someone who you could communicate with, or you're not in an environment where you can, get to a safe place or whatever, you have to be able to work on yourself and focus on yourself, because these are distractions also. Like all of this spiritual warfare and these attacks is a form of distraction from you being set on your goal, and finding out what your purpose is and what are you here to do and who are you here to help and how are you supposed to be leveling up. And all these attacks are coming and you're focusing on these attacks and you're giving more energy towards these attacks because you haven't learned yet how to kind of center yourself and calm down and say, okay, how do I need to move? Right? What do I need to do? Can I fast, for a couple of days? And then would fasting help me to pull out some of this toxicity within me? Am I going to be emotional about this? Do I need to pray? Do I need to call on my ancestors or my spirit guides? You know, all of these things you have to be able to know what to do if you're not around someone to guide you. You know, and
Yep.
it's a lot of times when we're under stress and fear, we stop breathing. I don't think a lot of people even realize that. Like a lot of times we hold our breath when you should be breathing even more. You should be taking deep, deep breaths from the belly. But we freeze. Fight, flight, freeze, all of that. Right? We start malfunctioning.
Yeah, we don't breathe like from the belly. We're either not breathing or breathing way up here.
But you notice when people get stressed out, they forget about that. You know, like when we had the recent situation with the thing you had to get in your arm. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
I noticed a lot of people were just like stressed out. They weren't thinking correctly. They became paranoid. If I don't get this, I'm going to die. They became very nervous. They were feeling pressured. They were feeling threatened. Yes. Not many people took the time to calm down and think. Not many people. A lot of arguing in the families and with the friends. Oh, a lot of people I heard got cut off. I can't be around you because you ain't go and get it. You ain't go get that in your arm. Because you're gonna make
there was so much fear. So much fear was put out here. And people were accepting them.
And you have these demonic beings that love to feed off of fear and anxiety.
Yes.
You know? And it was a lot of fear that was out there. So
it was like a spirit. It was like a one entity had possessed a whole group of people. You could tell the entity's signature in each and every one of the people, and how the group of people moved. You tell it was an entity controlling that.
I agree with you. I actually feel like it was like a big one, but it was multiple little ones just feeding off of the society, of the community, because it wasn't just our community that was malfunctioning.
It was the whole world.
So can you imagine? Those demonic entities, like, I mean, they must be still full.
They had a feast. They
had a feast.
Yeah.
They had a feast, you know? And so I just want to say that moving forward, you know, we have to learn how to be prepared for these type of attacks. If we're more prepared, we can better handle these situations. And even if it's just one-on-one, one person attacking you, or if it's a group attack, or if it's the whole country going through something, or the whole world going through something, we have to be able to just pull it in, pull it together, and process everything, you know, with the mindset of, okay, how does this affect me? How do I move forward? Who should I connect with? What do I need to do? Have I prepared? Am I prepared? So, you know, because it was to the point where people was just like, I saw in the news, we got the, and I was like, the news? Oh yeah, Channel 5 News, such a, I said, the news? We gonna die, please, Bliss, please go get it, please. I don't want you to die. I had people calling me saying, please, I don't want you to die. I love you. And I was like, no, I don't want you to die. So we're both, it is like a weird love. Because it's like, I love you so much, I don't want you to die. So I want you to get it. But I love you so much, I don't want you to die.
They play upon your emotions. Please get it. Please get it. Just for your help. Just do it. Just please do it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And then so it went from begging, please, 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 between the two of us, you know, everybody in the family and friends or whatever, you know, begging each other to get it and don't get it. And then it went from that to anger, right? Oh, you can't come over here. You didn't get it. And I don't know what you got. You can't come up. No, you can't come to the family dinner. You can't come to the birthday parties. So now you're isolated. You're feeling like you're rejected, or you're detached. You're alone, or maybe you did something because you didn't get it. So anger, fear, anxiety, like all these emotions was in the air everywhere. Paranoia.
Yes, everyone was so afraid. So much fear.
So
Then they
much.
had to blame someone. The people who the people who resisted, it's their fault.
Yes. Oh, you remember? I forgot about that. You're right about that. Look at that. Spiritual warfare at its best. Now look, everybody's still walking around, right? And I would even venture to say, even the ones who got it, some of them are still walking around. So I mean, people are saying, yeah, next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe so, maybe not. I don't know. So was all of this even necessary? Like, I know couples who broke up over this. I know family members who are not talking to this day over this.
Yeah, I mean, it was like state terror. They put everybody into the pot, the crab pot. Everybody was in there scrambling around and terrified. It was interesting to witness. And to me, more scarier than the shot itself is how easy it was to manipulate everybody. To me, that was the scariest part.
That right there.
I agree with you. Right. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I kid you not, some of these people that I know, there was literally nothing I could say to convince them to avoid going to get this in their arm. There was nothing I could say.
And even to question, even if they decided to go ahead, but to just question it, to even look at evidence. Don't show me anything. I don't want to know.
You know what the funny thing was to me? It was some of the most educated people were most against it. Yeah. I work in an educational background with people who have master's degrees and PhDs and things like that. And even among the Black people, they were like, please get it. Please get it. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I understand. I understand the studies. I understand that they did not do the proper studies. I understand that they rushed it. Yeah, but the other people, they just wanted to believe the narrative that was put
I know.
out there.
And to me,
That was scary.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you're right. That was so shocking to see. And the doctors, the nurses, who, and in retrospect, I realized that a lot of them did know better, but they still complied. And to me, that is the deepest kind of programming. I mean, how controlled must you be to perpetrate that, knowing that you're doing that?
The highest level of manipulation.
So that's why it is important to really to know yourself and to have integrity and to stand up for what you know to be true. Because who knows what the next game plan will be? We need to be really very aware of how we're being played. Because if you turn on the television, I guarantee you're being played. Because nothing on there is real.
If you turn on the television and you're watching a program, you got to think, why are they calling it a program? Because they're programming you.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to think on this level. We got to actually start sitting down and looking at the play on words, the play on our energy, the play in society, and how it affects us, and especially our children, because our children are the future. And if you can't fix yourself, then how are you going to fix your children? Right? So
can't teach what you don't know.
Let me tell you, somebody dropped a video the other day, and I kid you not, it was this Asian baby that maybe was about 2 years old, somewhere between 2 and 3 years old. And beside the Asian baby, it was another video. So it was 2 videos. It was a Black baby that was about the same age, 2 or 3 years old. Asian baby was sitting there playing the piano. Okay. Guess what the Black baby was doing? dropping it like it's hot, popping the pamper,
Oh no!
popping the
Oh
booty,
no!
and singing a rap song talking about F this, dot, and doing all of these, And I said, wow. Let me tell you something. So I'm in observation mode. A lot of times when I'm traveling somewhere and I see Asians who are alone or whatever, or even as a couple, you know what they've been doing? 99.99% of the time, if they're sitting somewhere for a long period of time, they'll pull out the video and put on their headphones, and I'll peek and see what they're playing. They're playing classical music. Do you know what classical music does to a person? Yes.
Stimulates the brain. Yeah.
Yep. They're playing classical music. Yes. Black folks, we dropping it like it's hot. We playing, what's that girl? Sexy Red. She talk about put it back there and put it in here. You know that girl that everybody talking about? That's what our children are listening to. Cardi B. Yeah. So spiritual warfare is everywhere. Everywhere. Whether you know it or not, everything that they do and they say, any rules, any regulations, any decisions, because this is the Black people right here. These are all the people who are controlling us all around here, making all these decisions that affect us. Decisions where your clothing material, can you even find cotton? Can you find linen right now? Can you find 100% cotton or linen clothing right now? How difficult is that? Who's making these decisions, right? Things where there are chemicals inside of your skin creams and your deodorant and your toothpaste and your makeup, if you wear makeup, and your lotions and your soap.
In your food, in your water.
In your water, in your shower. So how are you going to battle all these things and you're just one person? You need a team. You need a community who's going to look out for you, who's going to show you, who's going to assist you.
That's right.
Because the attacks are everywhere. There are mental attacks, physical attacks, emotional attacks, financial attacks. Are you prepared for all these attacks that's coming? Do you see what's coming? Do you see what's going on in these cities? Are we paying attention? I don't know. But that's what I wanted to share tonight, y'all.
This bliss fire.
Yeah, well, start the conversation. You have to start it somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pernue, I wanted to add, because I know we have the banner running across here. So I never had the opportunity to add your email. So if you wanna kind of quickly have me add it, so if anybody wants to reach out to you, they can be like,
okay, do you want me to I will send.
All right, what's your email? What is it?
It's A.
What's your email?
Okay, A T E F Pernue, all one word.
ATF. What is that? I heard that somewhere before.
ATEF. That means ATE. ATEF.
ATEF. Okay. ATEF at what? At Gmail?
At Gmail. Yep.
At gmail.com.
ATEF means father in ancient Egypt or Kemet.
Oh, that's nice.
I missed that. What did you say? ATEF means what?
Father.
What does it mean?
Father.
Oh,
Bible?
you didn't.
Oh, father.
It's wrong. It's ATEF Pernue, right? ATEF Pernue.
F Pernue.
ATEF Pernue.
Oh, wait, hold on. I just put ATEF.
Mm-hmm.
All right, hold on. Let me check it. Oh, ATEF first and then Pernue second. No dash or anything?
No dash.
Okay. Did I get it right? ATEF Pernue?
Yeah.
It's coming now.
Where it is. It's not showing on my screen.
Oh, you don't see it on the screen?
I got it right.
Right.
Yeah, it's right.
Okay. All right,
Okay, I
Father
see that, yes.
I don't know about that, Pernue. That sounds like Catholic or something, like Father Pernue. What's going on?
So I just, I couldn't get Pernue. Pernue was already in Gmail. So I said, okay, well, let me put a Tef Pernue.
Nice. Thank you, guys. Thank you. The struggle is real, I tell you. So in closing, guys, if you want to reach out to either one of us, the emails are scrolling at the bottom. If you have any questions, or if you're going through something and you need another level of advice or communication, and all of our contact information is there. And I want to bid you all a wonderful, beautiful night, a successful and prosperous weekend, and a wonderful, wonderful journey. And you guys want to say good night or anything?
Yes. Good night, everyone. And love yourself.
Blessings to everyone. Thank you all for attending. Thank you to the guests. Thank you to Ms. Bliss. Thank you to Catherine. Thank you for the Creator, the ancestors, and all the beneficent energies out here.
Yes.
And a beautiful weekend.
Ashe, aho.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.